Now, some words on the role of the private sector. The government will continue to ensure that the required infrastructure and measures needed to counter terrorism are put in place to protect Singapore and our people. However, countering terrorism cannot be the effort of the government alone. It has to be a collective effort by everyone. In this regard, the private sector's involvement and contribution are indeed vital in strengthening our security. The government cannot anticipate and plan for all threats and scenarios. As business leaders, you would instinctively understand the concept of risks and the imperative to manage such risks. You have to be prepared for unexpected events which can disrupt your business operations. This could necessitate making plans to protect yourself against disruptions, be it terrorist attacks, pandemics, or other emergency situations. In so doing, you ensure that your core business functions remain intact. We have established several initiatives to ensure sustainable improvements in businesses' levels of preparedness. One of them, as you heard, is the Safety and Security Watch Group, or SSWG, and through that scheme, the police works with the commercial sector on threat assessment and security audit. SSWG adopts a geographical approach to threat mitigation, for example, through resource pooling and coordination of responses. Today, we will see the presentation of annual Safety and Security Watch Group Awards, an acknowledgement of the good work put out by business partners in putting in place security measures. As business leaders, I believe you'd also appreciate that emergency response plans must be sustained over the long term. But individual businesses need not shoulder this responsibility alone, but can share the burden with the respective SSWGs. Today, the SSWG exhibition held this morning, concurrently with this event, will provide an opportunity for everyone to pick up lessons and tips on the cluster approach in emergency response taken by SSWG. Other initiatives exist should businesses need further support from the government. One example, already mentioned, is the business continuity management. As I had announced in November last year, in encouraging businesses to adopt BCM, the government will provide financial incentives to defray the cost of BCM implementation. I therefore encourage companies who have not already done so to take advantage of the assistance provided and strive to achieve the adoption of BCM. I'll also urge you to evaluate your suppliers' readiness for contingencies. This way, we will be able to reinforce our resilience. There's an old proverb, which I'm told has Middle Eastern origin, which says that a cord of three strands is not easily broken. Now, applying that to our context, a strong partnership between the government, the private sector, and the general public will help build a resilient Singapore which can better withstand the threats and challenges that come our way. An example of the public-private partnership in security is where the Singapore Hotel Association, together with Spring Singapore, the SPF, National Crime Prevention Council, and the Singapore Tourism Board are collaborating to develop a new Singapore standard for hotel security. This new standard, to be launched later this month at the Hotel Security Conference 2009, I think will bolster Singapore's reputation as a secure business and tourism destination. Much of the private sector has also taken steps to ensure that the security personnel are well trained and equipped to tackle any likely crisis. The studies on terrorist incidents from Mumbai to Pakistan to Jakarta show us that the critical role played by the first responders can significantly mitigate the damage which may be caused in a terrorist attack. The more prepared the frontline officer, whether he's a policeman or train station supervisor or other personnel, the more effective he would be in preventing or mitigating the full impact of an attack. The security personnel of the hotels can also play a critical role in protecting and rescuing some of the hostages. To help and encourage trained private sector security personnel, the police have implemented Project Guardian. Among other things, Project Guardian can provide private security personnel with skills training on key emergency roles to enhance their capability to deal with a crisis. The better trained private security personnel would then be able to better assist the police in emergency and crisis situations. For example, during the North Star exercise recently, more than 60 employees and security personnel from the participating hotels and businesses benefited from Project Guardian training and responded to the crisis scenario with considerable confidence and effectiveness. Beyond transnational terrorism, there are other transnational security threats which can emerge in the form of, say, pandemics, or even problems can arise from climate change. The H1N1 episode is actually not an aberration, but is a foretaste of the types of complex challenges which the government, the people, and the private sector will have to jointly tackle in the 21st century. Transnational terrorism and new threats, such as pandemics, are likely to be long-term concerns. But we can meet these challenges by sustainable, collective efforts that involve the government, the private sector, and the general public.